Hi, I'm James Maguire, Managing Editor of Datamation, and I'm here with David Barley, Chief Technical Officer for Casdex, which is an online archiving service. David, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. How about yourself?
Good, good. We're here to really talk about cloud computing in the middle of a recession, in a down environment. But before we do that, let's talk about cloud itself. I mean, the word gets defined in so many different ways this way. There's at least, 6 different definitions. I mean, when you talk about cloud computing, what do you really mean?
Absolutely, no, you're absolutely right. It's one of these terms that gets bantered about, but at the end of the day, if you ask 20 people, you get 20 different answers,
Hmm.
right? So, what is cloud computing? In general, I would describe the cloud as IT resources made available online through the internet.
Hmm.
Typically accessed with the web browser.
Right.
I would further define it as saying there's really 3 different categories, or 3 different clouds, if you will. A computing cloud, application clouds, storage clouds being the 3. Computing clouds can provide, say, high-performance computing environments. You need to do a weather simulation. You're not going to probably go invest multi-million dollars in building out a high-performance compute environment, but, heck, for, a couple pennies or a couple bucks, you can rent out half an hour, whatever the time required to do your calculation is, and you get your data results. You pay your monthly service fee and you're done.
Right.
Or take application clouds, where, are the biggest name out there, Salesforce.com. You get customer resource management, you get sales management, all these great tools where you don't have to go and invest in systems and staff and managers, et cetera, to put these things in place. Or even email is another great example of resources available in an application cloud. Storage clouds, this is another big bundle that kind of sits behind everything, right? You got a place to store your email. You need a place to store your customer contacts. So you get basic disk space to more specialized backup and even archive vendors available now in the cloud.
And that's really what you're doing is archiving through the cloud.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly.
So interesting though, no matter how you define it, I mean, it seems like cloud computing faces kind of a challenge because many executives are saying, we've got tight budgets, these are tough times. I don't want to experiment with anything new right now, cloud computing or anything. So please, just leave us alone. We don't want to hear about anything newfangled. I mean, how do you
Sure.
respond to that?
So, given the current economic climate, I would say cloud computing is a better fit than ever. Given the old adage of doing more with less, cloud computing gives you things that you don't have to go build a large server environment. You don't have to go hire 10 more IT guys to, say, put in that new CRM platform or payroll system or whatever the case may be.
Hmm.
When you're looking at places to cut back, staff is a great way to reduce monthly costs, between benefits, salaries, et cetera, right? Think of cloud computing almost as a utility, right? We still have to pay our utilities. We got to keep the water running, the power running, the phone lines running. Cloud computing is computing resources as a utility. You only pay for what you need when you need it, and when you're done, you're done.
But what do you say to the people that say, okay, well that all sounds good, but I'm going to incur some costs as I transition over to that world, and I'm concerned about those costs at this point.
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, nothing is free in this world, right? And there's always going to be time, money, other things involved to transition you into this new environment. But I think the cost savings in the long run, or even in the near term for that matter, should outweigh those concerns. Take email, for example. This is a resource-intensive platform to manage in-house. Think spam, viruses,
Hmm.
managing mailbox quotas, backup, archiving files if you're in an industry where, things need to be kept in a special way. Transitioning to an online provider that, say, provides your email and you have another vendor that's helping you with the archive side of it, you're able to reduce a lot of costs internally, reduce your staff, reduce your energy consumption, reduce your space footprint, things of that nature. So you're right. People are always, reticent to jump onto something new, but in a lot of ways, if we really look at it, we're using cloud resources all the time. I know a lot of firms that actually use Google Sites and Google Email for, hosting their website and running their email system for their smaller businesses.
Hmm.
Salesforce.com. This is another great, I've said this a bunch of times. I actually don't use it, but it's a great tool.
Okay.
But, they provide a lot of useful resources to small businesses.
I guess that it seems like what companies are doing is generally they're going cautiously into the cloud. I mean, they're using it for some peripheral services, maybe payroll in some instances, but they're not bringing the cloud into their sort of core business processes yet. I mean, is that what you see going on, or how do you see that changing?
No, I see exactly the same thing. It's just like you mentioned. It's things like payroll. It's email systems. It's for specialized research environments. It's getting access to resources that are difficult to provision otherwise internally. But as far as taking over the core every day, no, I haven't seen that either. And I don't know if it necessarily will quite go that far, except for maybe firms on the very small end. But at the enterprise level, it's a great way to say get up a large development environment, computing resources available, database infrastructures to quickly tear up and tear down database instances to do testing, or be it for performance or bugs or security, things of that nature.
Anything else you want to add about cloud computing in a down environment?
No, I just think given the economic situation, I have a feeling that the cloud computing is definitely going to take off in 2009 compared to last year. It was kind of, what is this? What is it about? Whereas this year, I think folks are going to start looking at it very seriously.
David, that's good. Thanks for taking the time to speak with us today.
Not a problem. Thank you very much.